Sloppy Steve, folks. Sloppy Steve Bannon went on comedian Tim Dillon's podcast. And I like what my buddy R.M. Brown said. Go check out R.M. Brown's channel if you haven't yet. Phenomenal channel. He's hilarious. R.M. Brown made the point that this entire podcast is basically Steve Bannon saying things that are kind of true, right? Like, he'll go after the elites and he'll go after the establishment and he'll be like, bro, we got to change stuff, bro. But then his conclusion and his solution is always, that's why we need Trump, bro. We need Trump. We got all these establishment elite types and how they've destroyed the country and pillaged it, and that's why we need Trump to do more pillaging and to do his own robber baron coup, bro. So that's the problem with Sloppy Steve, right? Is he co-ops anti-establishment energy and redirects it into the establishment. So in a sense, he's actually one of the worst, because many others just come as advertised. Right? Like, you know, you look at a guy like Mitt Romney, he's worth a gazillion dollars, and he's like, yeah, I want to cut taxes for the wealthy. Like, that's what I'm all about, and let's slash the social safety net. Trump also supports those things, but then lies and pretends like, I'm the forgotten man and woman will never be forgotten again. I'm against the establishment. I'm going to represent the people. And then what does he do? Cuts Medicaid $880 billion like they just fucking did. Cuts food stamps, the SNAP program, $230 billion like they just fucking did. Put giant tax cuts in the bill like they just fucking did. So in a sense, it's worse because Trump's a liar and Sloppy Steve is a liar. So Tim Dillon, I mean, it's a real shame, right? Tim Dillon, he's so talented and he's so funny, but he really does get caught up in these bullshit, fake anti-establishment right-wing narratives. It's a real shame because he has the potential to be, you know, a Bill Hicks type voice or a George Carlin type voice, but instead he's just more Rogan sphere adjacent, where it's like, hey, which horrible policies can I ball coddle today? You know, to be fair to him, he's tough on like Elon Musk, but so is Steve Bannon. But that's kind of the point, right? That's kind of the point is like you might say the fucked up thing about Elon Musk, but ultimately, you end up supporting all the shit he's doing anyway, right? So anyway, let's dive into the clip here. Sloppy Steve is going to take a pot shot here at Bernie Sanders.
This is why I say Bernie Sanders, the reason people say was Bernie's a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
He had 2 shots at the Clintons.
Bernie's a, quote, fucking pussy. And of course, his argument is going to be, you didn't really go for the jugular with the Clintons. Now, to be fair, that's true. I think Bernie should have had more of a killer instinct. And he wasn't able to get the job done effectively, right? So that's fair. But here's the thing. However big of a fucking pussy you think Bernie Sanders is, Steve Bannon is that times 1,000. Why? Like I just pointed out, he's been going to war against Elon Musk on his show, and he'll say everything about Elon that I'll say. He's an illegal immigrant. He's a welfare queen. He's a robber baron. He's trying to rob us. He'll say all those things. But when Trump comes out and agrees with Elon, he's got no smoke for Trump, not even a little bit. So take, for example, the H-1B visa fight. You remember that? Elon was like, I love H-1B visas. And H-1B visas, those are like, they say it's the high-skilled immigrants who come in the country and they work for like the tech sector. The reason why Elon loves the H-1B visa is because those workers come here and he gets to exploit them. They're basically like indentured servants for Elon Musk personally. And so Steve Bannon was like, oh my God, look at this guy. He wants indentured servants. This is disgusting. We should be against the H-1B visas. This is crazy. They're taking jobs that Americans could have. But guess what? Trump comes out a day or two later and goes, I agree completely with Elon Musk on the H-1B visas, folks. Did Steve Bannon say a single thing against Trump when Trump co-signed what Elon said? No. He just pretended like Trump didn't agree with Elon. Steve will go after Elon, but then when Trump says, I agree with Elon, he's like, whatever, bro. Let's talk about something else, bro. That's the problem with Sloppy Steve, is that it's all a show at the end of the day, because he pretends to be all anti-establishment, but he ends up supporting the most establishment president of all time. Trump has appointed more billionaires and Wall Street CEOs than any administration ever. And Steve Bannon will virtue signal like he's against the billionaires and the Wall Street CEOs, but then say nothing criticizing Trump about it.
Clintons are the epitome of the neoliberal, neocon globalist, okay? And they're like the mafia.
And what's Trump? What's Trump? Trump is not a neoliberal, neocon globalist. Fucking of course he is. He's talking about stealing Panama and taking Greenland and doing a coup of Venezuela and bragged about bombing Somalia, and the list goes on, right? Invading Mexico. He wants war with Mexico. Neoliberal, neocon globalist. That's exactly, and mafia boss. Don't get me started. However big of mafia bosses the Clintons are, Trump is that on steroids. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? The dude ran a crypto scam on his own supporters 2 days before his inauguration. He's surrounded by tech oligarchs that he's got these smoke-filled backroom deals with to make him wealthy. You're telling me that motherfucker's not like a mafia boss?
These are hard people. There's nobody harder than Hillary Clinton. She's tough.
She's tough.
He had 2 shots at her.
Yeah.
I got brought into the campaign, not because I knew anything about politics. I'd never been in a campaign office in my life. But I had focused for a couple of years, working with Peter Schweitzer and other people on taking down the Clintons. I got brought in because they were so far behind that they needed somebody to, if you were going to win, you had to bring Clinton's numbers down, because President Trump at that time, candidate Trump, you could argue anywhere from 8 to 14 points down in mid-August of 2016. To close that gap, you got to bring the heat on Hillary Clinton. And I was brought in as that because I knew the Clintons. And Bernie Sanders, I keep telling people, he had 2 shots at her, never laid a glove on her. It was a pillow fight.
Right.
If you're going to get those people, you got to get up in their grill and rip their face off.
He's got to be referring to the email line, right? He was like, nobody cares about your damn emails. Nobody cares about it. And a lot of people looked at that, oh, Bernie's being weak. I actually think Bernie was right about that. Like, that's not the biggest issue with the Clintons. The biggest issue with the Clintons are, the massive amounts of corruption, for example. And Bernie hit her for the Wall Street speeches and the Goldman Sachs speeches where she wouldn't release the transcript and stuff like that. So he's overstating it. He's overstating the case. And again, no matter how much we can criticize Bernie legitimately for not going hard enough at Hillary Clinton, Bannon has never laid a fucking glove on Donald Trump, even though he virtue signals like he disagrees with those pro-establishment politics all the time. Just one example. Bannon has said multiple times, like, I think we should raise taxes on the wealthy. He said that multiple times. Then the House Republicans pass a budget with Trump's support that cuts Medicaid $880 billion, cuts SNAP $230 billion, and cuts taxes massively for the top 1% in corporations. He doesn't say dick about that. Dickie McGeezax. Mum's the fucking word. So, oh, Bernie, you're not going after the people on your side strongly enough, bro. You're not going after them strongly enough. You are the poster boy of giving your boy Donald Trump a pass. Now, by the way, why? Why is he giving Donald Trump a pass? You all know. You all know. Steve Bannon is literally a con artist. He committed fraud on a massive scale. Steve Bannon was part of the Build the Wall scam. You know what that was? They tried to use like a GoFundMe and privately fund the border wall through small dollar donations. Well, you'll never guess what happened. They ended up taking millions of dollars in contributions, and Steve Bannon and the guy he was working with, they ended up pocketing the money. What a shock. I really thought you could use a fucking GoFundMe and build a border wall. Like, that's mental if you thought for even a split second, this might work. You can't build, there's so much private land in that area. You can't I'm going to build my wall that I want on your private land, and I'm going to cut through all these areas where there's no legal authority to do this whatsoever. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But that's what this guy did. Trump pardoned him. He pardoned him, at least for the federal crimes. At the state level, it's a different story. I think he still might have some legal issues at the, in fact, he was in court the other day, I think, about this at the state level. But yeah, he committed fraud. And Trump pardoned him, so he owes his life to Trump in some respects. And so he can go out there and virtue signal like he's Mr. Anti-Establishment. But functionally, as I said, he supports the most pro-establishment president of all time.
And they're neoliberal neocons. They're very vulnerable. But Bernie had kind of ceded that ground. That's why he's not really had much of an impact on this populist. Think about it. We've had a populist nationalist revolt in this country, and Bernie Sanders has been a marginal figure to it. How did that work?
That's a lie. We have not had a populist nationalist revolt, and it's time everybody starts admitting that. It's time everybody starts telling the truth about it, because the reality of the situation is a con artist ran a con and got away with it. That's what it is. That's what happened. This is not a populist nationalist revolt. This is a revolutionary conservative revolt. What we're witnessing is a robber baron coup and a fascist takeover. That's what it is. That's why Trump came out the other day and basically said, hey, I'm king now. Only me and the Attorney General get to decide what the law is. This is what he said in an executive order. That's him saying, fuck the courts, fuck checks and balances. That's not a populist nationalist revolt. That's closer to a monarchy than it is to that. Never mind all the other fucking bullshit that he's done, right? Sign an executive order raising drug prices, sign an executive order saying no more anti-corruption rules for my cabinet. They can be as corrupt as they want to be, axing the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. We've been through all this, right? We've been through all this. This is the furthest thing from populist I've ever seen in my life. Another round of tax cuts for the top 1% is the opposite of populism. $880 billion in Medicaid cuts is the opposite of populism. You have Elon Musk firing 70,000 workers from Social Security. That's the opposite of populism. They killed Trump was bragging about Elon killing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That is the most populist agency we've ever had. The whole point of the CFPB is the anti-scam police. That's the whole fucking point. That's the whole point. And he killed it. That agency returned $20 billion to 200 million Americans. And he killed it. He killed it. So nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. The actual populist revolt would be if Bernie Sanders was president. He's not president. Donald Trump's in the White House right now. The Trump regime has control. And so forgive me if I've lost all of my patience with these so-called populist right people who are the furthest fucking thing from populist. I'm just sick of these sorts of charlatans taking the anti-establishment energy and redirecting it back to the same old bullshit that you get from every Republican administration. Donald Trump is George W. Bush on steroids. And everybody needs to fucking admit that instead of pretending like we're looking at something different, we're looking at a revolt, we're looking at a populist revolution. My fucking ass cheeks we are. And you know what? Steve Bannon knows that. But he's in the business of lying, which is what he did repeatedly in this piece. As I said, again, I'll finish with quoting R.M. Brown again, or paraphrasing R.M. Brown again. The whole podcast is like Steve Bannon says things that are vaguely true, but he goes, which is why, Trump, bro. The establishment, bro, which is why I like Trump. The elites, bro, which is why I like Trump, bro. These are the same people, final point. These are the same people who really thought Donald fucking Trump and his administration, they're going to release the Epstein files. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you're going to get the straight dope from Donald Trump's administration. Trump was besties with Epstein for a decade. We have Epstein on audio tape literally saying that in 2017. Trump and Melania, the first time they had sex was on the Lolita Express. The Elite Sex Crimes Incorporated jet is where they first had sex. Trump would blackmail his friends into letting him fuck their wives and cuck his friends. Yeah, this guy who's been on the Lolita Express 7 fucking times, Lord only knows how much dirt there is on Trump, right? All the pictures he's got with Epstein. But that guy is going to come in and really tell you the truth about what's going on. No, he is implicated. He is part of the problem. He's one of the biggest problems. If you got a problem with the establishment, if you got a problem with the elites, you have a fucking problem with Donald Trump. You cannot say I have a problem with the establishment and the elites and not hate Trump. But that's effectively what Steve Bannon is, which is why he's a total fraud. All right, guys. I'm out of time, man. I love y'all so much. You know the drill. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. And thank you to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who tips on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's over at Substack for Crystal Kyle and Friends. If you sign up there, you get the video of every interview and you get it a day early. And that's all I got for you guys today, man. I will see you tomorrow. You know the drill. Same time, same place. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.